At the beginning of the story, we see a girl named Tammy inside a yacht. The yacht is filled with water, and Tammy is unconscious. After a while, she slowly wakes up. As soon as she regains her senses, she rushes up to the deck. The yacht is completely wrecked. Tammy starts shouting loudly, calling for a guy named Richard. But there's no reply. Richard is nowhere to be seen. The yacht is drifting in the middle of the ocean. From here, the story goes into a flashback, 5 months earlier. We see Tammy on an island called Tahiti. Someone there asks her what she does for a living. Tammy smiles and says, "I do whatever work pays for my next trip," meaning she doesn't have a fixed home or a permanent place to stay. Right now, she's on the island of Tahiti, but originally, she's from California. She's just a free spirit who wants to explore the world. While on this island, she meets Richard, a British sailor. Richard invites Tammy to have dinner with him, and that night, she joins him. When Tammy sees pictures of Richard's journeys, all the places he's traveled to, she's really impressed. He's been to many corners of the world. During dinner, Tammy asks, "Do you like traveling alone for such a long time?" Richard replies, "Not really. After a few days at sea, you get exhausted. You're hungry all the time. Your clothes are always wet. You barely sleep. And sometimes you even start hallucinating." Tammy looks surprised and asks, "Then why do you keep doing it?" Richard smiles and says, "Because it's an experience you can't describe in words. When you're out there, surrounded by nothing but the ocean and the sky, there's this thin line, the horizon, and in that moment, it feels like you're truly alive again." He continues, "Out there, it's just the wind and your boat, moving forward, cutting through the waves." Tammy says softly, "I wish I could feel that someday." With you, a few days later, Richard takes her out to sea with him. Tammy enjoys every single moment of the journey. She falls in love with the calm, endless ocean. Slowly, they start spending more time together, and their bond grows deeper. One day, Richard and Tammy meet an older couple who already know Richard. The couple tells him they have a yacht that needs to be delivered from Tahiti to San Diego. In return, they'll pay him $10,000 and also give him a first-class plane ticket back. Richard really likes the offer. He asks, "Could you make that to tickets?" "I'd like Tammy to come with me." The couple agrees. Richard tells Tammy, "We'll be leaving soon for California." Hearing that, Tammy looks a little sad. She says, "I don't want to go back in the direction of my home." Richard immediately says, "Then I'll cancel the deal." But Tammy shakes her head and says, "No, you should go, even if it's alone." Richard smiles and says, "I've traveled halfway around the world, and it led me to you. I don't want to lose you now." Hearing that, Tammy agrees, because by now, they've fallen in love with each other. A few days later, they both set sail on the yacht, beginning their journey toward California. As the two of them continue sailing in the middle of the ocean, Richard proposes to Tammy. He puts a ring on her finger, a ring he crafted himself with his own hands. Tammy is overjoyed and accepts his proposal, hugging him tightly, because by now, she's truly fallen in love with him too. He goes below deck and tries to make contact through the radio. That's when he finds out that a massive hurricane is headed right into the area they're sailing through. Hearing that, Richard becomes anxious. Tammy calmly suggests that they should change course and wait somewhere safe until the storm passes. Richard agrees, and they go with her plan. But by nightfall, their yacht gets caught right in the middle of the hurricane. The ocean waves are taller and stronger than anything they've ever imagined. Richard shouts, "Go below deck, Tammy." She refuses, but Richard forces her to go inside for safety. Just then, a gigantic wave crashes against the yacht. Water floods inside, and with that violent hit, Richard is thrown overboard into the sea. Inside the cabin, Tammy hits her head and loses consciousness. When she wakes up the next morning, she finds the yacht half filled with water. She rushes to the deck and starts calling out for Richard, but there's no response. That's when she realizes something is terribly wrong, and this is the exact moment where the story had begun. From here, the flashback ends, and we're back in the present timeline. Now Tammy is completely distressed. She picks up the binoculars and scans the endless ocean, trying to spot Richard, but there's no ship, no island, no sign of life anywhere. She tries to use the radio again, but it's completely dead. Exhausted and injured, Tammy lies down on the deck and eventually falls asleep. When she wakes up, she notices that the small safety boat that was tied to the yacht is missing. Looking through the binoculars, she spots it far off in the distance. She believes Richard might be on that boat. Desperate to reach him, she tries to start the yacht, but it won't turn on. So she decides to swim toward the direction of the small boat. But after swimming a short distance, she realizes the yacht is drifting farther away from her. She understands that if she keeps going, she might lose the yacht completely, so she swims back to it. The sail is torn apart, and there are several cracks in the hull where seawater keeps leaking in. Her first priority is to seal those cracks. She tapes up the damaged areas to stop the water. Then she goes inside and uses a pump to drain out the flooded water from the yacht. Now, she has only one option left, to somehow fix the sail, so she can continue her journey and find Richard. With whatever strength she has left, Tammy starts working on repairing the sail. Tammy starts by fixing the mast, the pole where the sail is supposed to be attached. It's not easy, every movement takes all her strength. But somehow, she manages to secure the pole back in place. After that, she hoists up the sail and ties it down tightly. Slowly, the yacht begins to move again, gently gliding over the water. After a while, she finally reaches the spot where Richard's small boat was last seen. But when she gets there, the boat is flipped upside down, and Richard is trapped underneath it. He's badly injured and too weak to swim. Without thinking twice, Tammy dives into the water and swims toward him. After a long struggle, she manages to pull him out and drag him back to the yacht. Richard is so weak he can't even climb up. Tammy ties a rope around him and slowly hauls him aboard. His leg is severely injured, and he's in terrible pain. She bandages his wounds as best she can, but his condition keeps getting worse. He can barely speak. When Tammy lifts his shirt, she realizes several of his ribs are broken. Every breath he takes hurts. For the next 2 days, they remain stranded in the middle of the ocean. The sail Tammy built is small, so the yacht doesn't move very fast, and it's hard for them to control their direction. When they finally assess their position, they realize they've drifted far off course, into an area where no ships usually pass, and there's no sign of land anywhere. Tammy starts to panic and says, "We're going to die out here." Richard calmly tells her, "Don't say that. No matter what happens, don't lose hope." But deep down, they both know the truth. At their current speed, it could take them months to reach California. The winds in that direction are weak and unpredictable. Tammy suggests we should head toward Hawaii instead. Richard hesitates. That's risky. It'll make our journey about 500 miles longer. But Tammy explains that if they sail that way, the wind will be on their side, and the yacht will move faster. After thinking it through, they both agree to change course and start heading toward Hawaii. After a few days, they realize they're running low on both food and water, only about a week's worth of supplies left, and Hawaii is still far away. Richard says, "We'll have to find natural protein. We'll need to catch fish." But Tammy refuses. She's a vegetarian and doesn't believe in killing animals. Still, she knows that if they don't eat fish, they might not survive long enough to reach land. So she dives into the ocean and tries to catch fish, but fails. Exhausted and empty-handed, she returns to the yacht. Soon after, they begin running out of water, too. But this time, luck is on their side. Dark clouds gather, and rain starts pouring down from the sky. They drink as much as they can and store every drop they can collect. Even then, escaping the endless ocean isn't easy. Days turn into weeks, and their journey stretches on. By the time 29 days have passed, their food and water are almost gone. Both of them are weak, dehydrated, and barely holding on. Both of them had grown so weak that even standing up felt impossible. Then, suddenly, off in the distance, they spotted a huge cargo ship. Tammy's face lit up with hope. For the first time in days, she truly believed they might be saved. She quickly grabbed the flare gun and fired a bright red signal into the sky, hoping someone on that ship would see it. But sadly, no one did. Within minutes, the giant ship disappeared beyond the horizon. Tammy's hope shattered. She broke down completely, realizing that getting out of this endless ocean might be impossible. Now, all they could do was wait, and hope for a miracle. The next morning, while Tammy was changing Richard's bandages, she noticed his leg had gotten much worse. The wound was infected, and he had developed a high fever. Around the same time, they noticed another massive storm forming in the distance. But this time, luck was on their side. Only strong winds hit them, no storm. Still, both of them were in terrible shape. That night, Tammy sat beside Richard, talking to him for hours. She told him about her childhood, how her father used to take her on trips, but would often disappear without warning. When she was 10, her grandparents had stopped her father from seeing her, and ever since then, her home life had been full of tension and silence. The next morning, when Tammy finally dozed off, she heard Richard's voice waking her up. She looked at him and said softly, "I won't stop you anymore. You can go now." But when she turned around, Richard wasn't there. And in that moment, the truth hit her. Richard had never been there. He'd been swept away by the storm days ago, and she had been completely alone ever since. Everything she'd seen, every word she thought he'd said, had all been in her mind. It was her memory of him, the thought of Richard, that had kept her alive through all those days at sea. Now, she finally accepted the truth. Richard was gone. Tammy had learned to catch fish on her own, because without that, she wouldn't have survived. Days passed, then weeks, until she had been adrift for 41 days. Her body was frail, her face pale and tired, her spirit fading. Just when she was ready to give up, a small bird landed near her yacht. She stared at it in disbelief, because if a bird could fly this far, that meant land had to be nearby. Tammy quickly grabbed her binoculars and scanned the horizon. And there it was, a faint outline of land, and a ship moving in the distance. She fired the flare gun one last time. This time, luck truly favored her. The ship was Japanese, and the crew spotted her signal. Within hours, they reached her yacht, gave her food and water, and tied her boat to theirs to bring her safely back to shore. When Tammy finally recovered, she returned to the place where she had first met Richard. She went inside his old boat, where their photos still lay scattered. Looking at them, tears filled her eyes. Then she walked down to the shoreline, took off the ring Richard had given her, and threw it into the sea, a final goodbye to the man she loved. As the film ends, real photos of the true Tammy and Richard appear on screen, and that's where this incredible true story comes to a close.